I'm Randy Schrader. Let's discuss what gets me here, and then let's discuss what might get you here. In 1990, I became a distributor in this remarkable industry, network marketing. In this discussion, we'll be describing the evolution of this industry from way before I got involved up until this date. We'll also discuss what specifically it is might cause you to get involved in the industry, but my own evolution here is a part of this discussion. In February of 1990, I became a distributor in the industry, and I stayed one clear up until August of 2009. In August of 2008, I was so lucky to get involved with a company called Monavie. And the next 12 months, the next 52 weeks were the most productive, the most enjoyable, the most remarkable of a career. A career which produced in excess of $25 million in earnings. A career that resulted in me and my family having a life experience that I could never have guessed would be possible. But then, at the end of 2009, or towards the end of 2009, my friend Dallin Larson asked me if I would contemplate an evolution of my own. He said, Randy, would you be willing to give up your distributorship so that all international distributors in Monavie could benefit from your life experience? And while it wasn't an easy decision, I made the decision that I would do so, and I'm hoping so much that decision winds up accruing to your benefit specifically. So who am I? I am Randy Schrader. What is my official role and capacity? I am the International Distributor Ambassador of Monavie. What does that mean? It means that I'm in direct partnership with you if you're involved with this great company, or I will be in direct partnership with you if you make a decision to become involved. That's what gets me here. What gets you here? I can imagine a couple of things that may result in your being here. You might be a distributor of Monavie, anxiously engaged in the business, and as part of step 5 in our business building practice, you are learning about the industry. Step 5 is to build belief. Build belief in what? The network marketing industry, in Monavie, and in yourself. Perhaps that's what gets you here. Or you may be one who's just looking at our business. If you're one who's just looking at our business, this is so critically important. I can imagine the environment. Not too long ago, you were at a business presentation, and the presenter said something like this: is there anyone in the room who doubts the validity of the network marketing industry? Is there anybody here who just really wonders if this is a legitimate way of doing business? And you're the person who raised their hand. And then someone said, you need to learn about the evolution of network marketing. And so here we are. You know, it's an amazing business. It started clear back in 1903, the same year as Harley-Davidson motorcycles, by the way. And when it began, it was a company called Watkins. Watkins Products, Watkins Vanilla, Cinnamon, and Spices. Some of you who are my age or older, if there are any such people, some of you who are my age or older, you probably recall on your mom's kitchen counter, or maybe on your grandmother's, maybe still today, Watkins Vanilla, Cinnamon, and Spices. That was the first company ever that made it possible for individual entrepreneurs to buy a product at wholesale and sell it at retail, direct selling, but then to take one more step to not just buy it wholesale and sell it retail, but to extend that opportunity to others, to be able to recruit and enroll other people. It's been going on since 1903. Between 1903 and 1942, not that much exciting happened in the industry. A group of direct selling companies came along. There was no technology to speak of that could be applied to the industry. There were no large incomes being generated, but the industry was born in 1903. By 1909, one of the evidences of ongoing fact occurred, that being the first copy of a company. W.T. Raleigh, without question, was the copy of a company. A copy of what company? Of Watkins Corporation. As we study and discuss our industry, we'll see that part of the continuing evolution has been a company copying another's idea and trying to improve upon that idea, sometimes succeeding in that attempt and sometimes not succeeding in that attempt. By the way, an interesting inclusion in this thought, at least interesting for me, as my own introduction to the industry. The very first direct selling and then network marketing company ever was Watkins Corporation. In 1982, I sold a business that I owned to Watkins, and I wound up being inside, not a distributor, but I wound up being inside on the management team of that company. And what an amazing experience it was for me to observe a network marketing company that had been around literally for decades, for generations. I met people whose fathers and grandfathers had become involved. They were continuing to earn significant incomes, ongoing, recurring income. That is the hallmark of a properly constructed network marketing company. At any rate, it all began in 1903. The next real significant occurrence was clear up in 1942. In 1942, a company was born that was called California Vitamins. California Vitamins was significant to the continued evolution of our industry for a variety of reasons. In California Vitamins, one could not only buy products from the company and sell them to others, you could recruit other people to do so to a degree on your behalf and get paid on 2 generations of depth. It was the first multi-level marketing company. It's an interesting industry, this network marketing or multi-level marketing. It's an industry that has created wealth for so many. It's an industry, however, that has this curious feature. This industry of network marketing has an ability to provoke feelings of insecurity among even the most secure people. If I ask a doctor what he does for a living, with pride he says, I am a doctor. Why? Because it feels good to be one. Society has decided in advance what it means to be a doctor. If I meet someone who's an attorney, they tell me, I am an attorney, and they say so with pride. I'm not sure why about that one. I joke, my son's an attorney, but society's decided that that's a good thing. It means a lot to be an attorney. When a person says, I'm engaged in the network marketing industry, quite often they say so with a level of insecurity. A curious industry, an ability to provoke feelings of insecurity among even the most secure. I hope that you are one of those people who can, with me, look anyone in the eye, candidate, new organization member, family member, and say the fundamental principles which govern network marketing are superior to those which govern conventional business. I'm hoping that this evolution of network marketing helps get you started across that bridge. Well, it all started in 1903 with Watkins Products. Watkins Products paved the way for a company called California Vitamins. In 1949, California Vitamins changed its name to Nutrilite, and there were 2 people of significance who joined the business that year. Those people were Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, and they became significantly successful Nutrilite distributors. In 1959, they chose to leave Nutrilite and start their own company. The company they started was called the Amway Corporation. Amway truly began an acceleration of this evolution of network marketing. Amway was the first company to pay 3 generations deep instead of just 2. Nutrilite was the first multi-level marketing company. They paid 2 generations deep. Previously it was called California Vitamins. Now comes the Amway Corporation. They paid 3 generations deep. Well, in 1959, Amway was born. And between 1959 and 1972, that company enjoyed literally unrestricted growth. By 1972, the Amway Corporation was doing $600 million in annual sales. Contemplate that, $600 million in 1972 from zero, from nothing, from a spark in the eye of Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel in 1959. Unrestricted growth. $600 million is a lot of volume. That's a lot of business, a lot of wealth being created, a lot of money being earned for both owners and for distributors. And you know, whenever great success occurs, we can be assured that imitators will come along. Between 1972 and 1975, there was a massive proliferation of companies that entered the industry trying to mimic and mirror Amway's success. Some were legitimate, many were not, some were fraudulent. This huge proliferation of companies caused an overall industry review by the United States government in the form of the Federal Trade Commission, and Amway really bore the brunt of that investigation. They were the industry giant, they were the big one, they bore the brunt of the investigation. In 1975, the FTC actually filed a lawsuit against Amway, claimed that it was a pyramid, and tried to cause the company to cease operations. Now, there's a critically important lesson, because between 1975 and 1979, that litigation continued. And most would have argued, most, I believe, of the outside observers believed in 1975, when the United States government claimed that Amway was a pyramid, when that statement was made, I think most believed the company would fail, that it would go out of business. It didn't happen. In fact, the company stayed about the same size. It didn't keep growing, but it didn't drop precipitously. How in the world could that be? How could that happen? Here was proven the value of a consuming base, of a product that matters to people. All of those people, they said, wow, Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes said that it's a pyramid. I don't know if that's true or if it's false, but what I do know is that I'm enjoying the product. What I do know is that SA8 does what it's supposed to do. What I do know is the company keeps sending my check, and it arrives every month, and it clears the bank. So I'm not sure if what the government says is right or if it's wrong, but I'm just going to keep right on using the product. Here was one of the key lessons. if the whole consumption pattern, if the whole business model is based upon the consumption of a physical, tangible, consumable product that matters to people, then in the event that there's some external event which stops recruiting productivity, the business model will survive. It will be based upon the consumption of a product. Now, that was proven by Amway. It was ultimately forced into existence in the Amway ruling. Between 1975 and 1979, there was great consternation about what would be the ultimate outcome, what would be the ultimate result of this query, this investigation of the network marketing industry. The ultimate result was found in 1979 with what has long since been known as the Amway ruling. It is FTC 93-618. That is called the Amway ruling. The verbiage in the Amway ruling is absolutely beautiful. It states that Amway is not a pyramid and that multi-level marketing is a legitimate method of moving products to end-line users, and it clearly identifies the playing field. In the Amway ruling, the playing field is articulated well, and articulated clearly. Any of you who want to really understand the playing field of network marketing, I encourage you to review the Amway ruling. There you will find a set of boundaries. If you can imagine a football field, what does a football field have? It has borders on both sides. It has an end zone. It has hash marks. It has a 50-yard line. That's the same way that the Amway ruling works for the network marketing industry. It identifies that which is clearly inside the rules. And you might question, well, why, if there's now this well-identified series of boundaries, do companies still get called into question? My own experience in the industry, in 1990, I was involved with a company called Nu Skin, and the company was sued by the Federal Trade Commission, claimed it was an illegal pyramid. The company survived that query. Why did it survive? Because the litigation showed that the company was inside the rules, inside the boundaries that were established by the Amway ruling. What makes that field of legitimacy boundaries? Well, first of all, the company must have a physical, consumable, tangible product or identifiable service. It cannot just be a dollar chasing a dollar. That's one of the parameters of the Amway ruling. There must actually be the delivery of a product, or there must actually be the delivery of a quantifiable service. What's another parameter of the Amway ruling? That if I am your upline meaning that I got involved in the system before you did, it must be technically possible for someone downline to earn more money than someone upline. Well, in our company, that's a pretty beautiful thing, because the very first distributor in our company is a great leader. His name is Scott Olson. Scott is a Royal Black Diamond, I think, right now, does extremely well financially. But you know what? Not one, not two, but 3 or 4 generations below him is a gentleman named Brig Hart. Way down there, 3 or 4 generations. And you know what? Brig is the top income earner in the company. What does the Amway ruling say? The Amway ruling says that someone downline must be able to earn more than someone upline. Now, those are very, very visible examples in our company, but it makes it so easy to prove that this company falls within that particular guideline of the Amway ruling. There's something else called the 70% rule. What's a 70% rule state? The 70% rule says that if you bought products last month, 70% of them should be gone before you place another order. In other words, you shouldn't be stockpiling products. You shouldn't be buying products because the compensation plan says to. The 70% rule says that if last month you bought $100 worth of products, you should have no more than $30 worth still on hand if you're placing another order. That's the 70% rule. There's another rule. That rule is the 10 customer rule. It means that there should be 10 people in your business who are consuming the product purely for the sake of the product, not because of the business methodology. That's the 10 customer rule. Well, see, these are all part of that Amway ruling. And one can gather that information by reviewing the actual file. And once again, what is it? It is 93 FTC-618. That is the Amway ruling, rendered in 1979. And now there was this huge backlog, this enormous backlog, because between 75 and 79, there was a great big question mark. Is network marketing, is multi-level marketing going to survive? Is it a legitimate way of moving products to end-line users? Can this be a secondary income stream for me and my family? Can it be a primary income replacement for me and my family? A lot of people watching and wondering. Now comes the Amway ruling in 1979. Network marketing, multi-level marketing is a legitimate means of moving products to end-line users. Multi-level marketing is not a pyramid. It's an effective way to generate income. The rules are established, and I've described a few of the rules, of the borders. I also love, by the way, some of the verbiage, because one of the periodic commentaries I'll hear was, well, aren't we going to run out of people? And I absolutely love the judge's verbiage on how and why one will never run out of people. Now, I've, of course, lived that. I've been in the industry for 20 years and produced enormous incomes for a long time. I've never run out of anyone to talk to. In fact, there's another whole generation of people now. The children of some of those who joined me in the business 20 years ago are today legitimate, valid prospects. But the Amway ruling is an absolute thing of beauty. Those of you who seek to become professionals in this industry, I would encourage you to have at least a basic cursory working knowledge. When you have that basic cursory knowledge of the Amway ruling, you will then understand why this industry has grown as dramatically as it has in the ensuing years. You will understand why some companies still get called into question. You'll understand why some companies fail the test, and you'll understand why some companies pass that test. Most importantly for me, and I hope for you, you will understand how and why Monavie is so completely secure. It's because not only are we inside the boundaries of the Amway ruling, but we don't push the borders. My opinion is that Monavie finds itself between the 45-yard lines and inside the hash lines, well in the center of what is appropriate and acceptable in this business, a standard and a model to which other companies in the industry could, and I believe should, aspire. Well, in 1979, the Amway ruling, the playing field is now well established and identified. The next 3 years, there was an absolute floodgate that was opened. Between 1979 and 1982, 2 million people in the USA alone entered the network marketing industry. 2 million people. And between that time of 1979 and 1982, the die was cast because the incomes became so large. Now the industry was assured. The success, the long-term viability of the industry was assured because now there was proven legal legitimacy. And as a result of the remarkable escalation in incomes earned by leadership of some companies between 79 and 82, now people who had significant positive alternatives began to look to the network marketing industry as a primary source of income as opposed to merely a secondary source of income. By the time 1982, 83, 84 arrived, some of the industry standards were born. In that period of time, companies that have forever changed the network marketing industry came into being. During that period of time was born Herbalife. Now, I have long been an advocate for the entire industry. I believe that network marketing is good. I think that there's a big difference in being a good company and being a good opportunity. I think there are a lot of good companies in this network marketing industry. I think there's another difference in being a good company, a good opportunity, and another difference in being a good opportunity and an opportunity to create wealth. There are a lot of intricacies that come together to make this all possible, but I will always be grateful to Herbalife. I will always be grateful to Mark Hughes for the values that he added to the industry. Herbalife was the first company in the aftermath of Amway, the first company after Amway's first dramatic success to have what I call breakthrough volume experiences and to sustain that volume. We're going to come back around in a few moments. We're going to talk about multiple S-curves. And when we talk about multiple S-curves, we'll talk about Amway, and we'll talk about Herbalife, and we'll talk about Nu Skin. That'll be important as one understands the dynamics of timing in our industry. In that time framework between 1982 and 1984 was born a company called Nu Skin. What was Nu Skin's primary contribution to the industry? Nu Skin was, in my view, critically important because Nu Skin was the first company to truly recognize that leadership in this industry is scarce. In fact, let me just say that leadership is scarce, period. How a compensation plan reacts to that dilemma is of critical importance. You see, Amway was the first really large network marketing company. They paid 3 tiers of leadership. I could enroll you, you could enroll one more person. We would have 3 tiers of leadership, and that would be the level of payout. Quite frequently, one has to search deeper than the first or the second or the third generation to find real leadership. Remember the illustration that I gave you of our company, Monavie? Scott Olson's the very first distributor. He's a Royal Black Diamond. He and Sue are remarkably successful. But you know, it goes from Scott Olson to several other people before finally Brig and Lita Hart emerged. And each of those other people are great people who've had great values to the business, but Brig and Lita added a separate, unique value. You see, if the compensation plan had only paid 2 generations deep, if it had only paid 3 generations deep, who knows if Brig and Lita would ever have been found? Who knows if that leadership would have searched deep enough to arrive at them? What's the primary value, or at least one of the significant primary values that Nu Skin added to the equation? They were the first compensation plan to pay in 6 levels of of depth. And in paying in 6 levels of depth, what were they really saying? They were really saying, we understand leadership is scarce, and we'll understand you're going to have to work pretty deep in the organization in order to find that quality of leadership that will hold things together. What's another tremendous value that Nu Skin added? Nu Skin became a publicly traded company. And not just a publicly traded company, but Nu Skin became a publicly traded company traded on the New York Stock Exchange that has been followed by some of the largest and finest firms on Wall Street. That changed our business. When people were critical or cautionary of the industry, it helped advance my career. When I could say, well, let's find out what Merrill Lynch thinks. Let's just see what Merrill Lynch thinks, because we can review their comments about the network marketing industry as we study Nu Skin. Let's just find out what Goldman Sachs thinks. Let's find out what the various financial firms on Wall Street think. You see, the decision of Wall Street to embrace the network marketing industry, we as an industry owe that in some measure to Nu Skin. They were the first, one of the very first companies at least, to gain the widespread buy-in of Wall Street. When Wall Street said yes, then it started to look silly for us individuals to say no, didn't it? I mean, if Merrill Lynch says yes, who are you to say no? When I meet a person and say, well, Randy, I don't know about the network marketing industry, I say, well, Merrill Lynch does. They like it. They underwrite companies in the industry. They follow companies. They make positive stock recommendations for companies in the industry. Specifically, here's one, Nu Skin. At times in its existence, Herbalife has likewise been a publicly traded company. That further accelerated, I believe, this evolution of network marketing. Well, there are more things that we've learned. Remember I said a few moments ago that we would talk about these multiple S-curves. What do I mean by that? Well, imagine an X and a Y-axis. Imagine an X and a Y-axis. All companies start on the bottom left-hand corner of the graph. Sadly, most companies finish on the bottom left-hand corner. They don't get off the ground floor. But here's the way that it goes. If a company's product or service or opportunity ever stops being obscure and starts to become popularized, there will then follow a period of profound and dramatic growth. Now, that's not just true in the network marketing industry. That is typical in business. It starts on the bottom left-hand corner. Most don't get off the ground floor. If the company's product, service, opportunity ever stops being obscure, starts to become popularized, there will follow a period of growth. And then if you shoot an arrow into the sky, it can only go so high, and it will then either stabilize at this new higher level, hence the S-curve. Like this, it will stabilize at this new higher level, or if there's no real fundamental value, then it will roll back down the bell curve as opposed to an S-curve. It's critically important to note that there have been multiple companies in this network marketing industry that have evidenced abilities to have multiple S-curves. Why is that important? If that's not evident, then timing becomes everything. Then if you're not first, you don't really have an opportunity. Then one has to wonder, should I get involved? Because if it's only good because I'm first, then perhaps I shouldn't do it. And so let's go back and review the Amway story again. The company started in 1959, went through a period of unrestricted growth until 1972, reached a level of $600 million in sales. And then that growth was stopped. This is typical. Whenever a dramatic surge of growth goes on for a period of time, there will almost always be some external event that stops the growth. In this time, it was a very profound external event. That was the Amway litigation that stopped the growth. Now, very critical to point out, it did not roll down the backside of the curve. It did not become a bell curve. It sustained itself at the new higher level. How and why? Because all of those people said, I love the product, it works, it's reasonably priced, and the company's continuing to send me my checks, and they keep clearing the bank. That was the first S-curve, and it was fueled by what? A handful of consumer products and the great American dream of free enterprise. Then there's a period of stabilization 4 years long, during which the Amway litigation was argued. Finally, here comes the Amway decision, and that triggered the second S-curve. It was far more explosive than the first, as the company's sales shot straight up. They shot straight up to $2 billion in sales. This was the second S-curve. And the people that you are most familiar with, the names you're most familiar with as the largest earners in that company, were not there at the beginning. They weren't there at the genesis. They didn't participate in the first S-curve. They benefited from the second S-curve. It was larger than the first. It took the company from $600 million to $2 billion in annual sales, and it was fueled by what? Product line extension. You know what, though? Amway had a third S-curve, the most powerful of all. Took the company from $2 billion in sales clear up into the $9 and $10 billion range. And what was that about? That was about multinational expansion. Boy, that's a critically important thought as we now look at where we find this company, Monavie, a company that has had one unbelievable, remarkable season of growth in the United States, but which now which now embarks upon, I promise you, the beginning of a second and far more powerful S-curve than the first, because this Monavie juggernaut, which has set itself apart, become singular, unique, and distinct in the United States, is about to set itself apart in the world. That's about to happen. It's been proven before, but it's never been proven by a company with all the special dynamics of Monavie. There are other companies that have experienced these multiple S-curves. And by the way, why is this important? Why is it important? It's important because I want you to know that I know that you can make a career decision to be involved with Monavie. This can be what you do. This can be the once and forever, the all-time. This can be from now until the end of your career. This can be from now until the end of your life, and it can be passed on to your family members. Why? Because multiple S-curves can't exist. Monavie is about to enter a second S-curve of profound importance. Who else has had multiple S-curves? Well, Nu Skin has had multiple S-curves. The first one, profound growth in the United States. The second S-curve in Nu Skin's case was what? It was divisional diversification, as they went from being Nu Skin alone to being Nu Skin and another division. Big Planet provoked a second S-curve. ID and Pharmaceuticals provoked another S-curve. And then multinational expansion provoked another S-curve. Herbalife has had multiple S-curves. Sunrider has had multiple S-curves. In this evolution of network marketing, what have we learned? We have learned that though a company goes through a profound and dramatic season of growth, that need not imply that it's over once and for all. That in fact can suggest, and has suggested in the very best and the finest, that it's setting the stage for a bigger, more dramatic season of growth to come, and history has suggested that the largest incomes are provoked by those who arrive for S-curve 2 or for S-curve 3. History has proven and evidenced this. There's some other very, very important things that we can learn by studying the history of our industry. I have been and remain a student of this industry of network marketing. I believe that there is no reason to make a mistake. There's a big enough model. Now, we will know for sure what tomorrow has in store for us when tomorrow comes. But I believe that the best way to accurately predict the future is to carefully and critically study the past. There are a few things that we know. One thing we know is that if the product or service has downward price pressure, there can be no compensation plan stability. I'd like to teach you for a moment, speak with you for a moment about the lessons of XL telecommunication. XL telecommunication experienced a period of unbelievable success in the 90s. Sales just absolutely skyrocketed based on telecommunication, a technology service, a telephone service. Its success came at a time when we all as a society were used to spending 35, 40, 45, even 50 cents a minute for long-distance telephone service. The compensation plan was constructed around the idea that we would spend 35, 40, 45 cents per minute for long-distance phone service. Well, tell me, does anyone reviewing this material spend 35 cents a minute on phone service now? Of course not. When we stopped spending 50 cents a minute and started spending 25 cents a minute, the entire compensation plan had to be reconstructed and reconfigured. This is one thing that's long since been proven in network marketing. Instability in the compensation plan creates insecurity among the distributor force. Insecurity among the distributor force guarantees an absolute lack or stop, a cessation of productivity. And so what were the lessons? Let's learn the lessons of the past. XL telecommunication went through a period of unbelievable, stunning, dramatic growth. It was exciting. It was fun to watch, and for those who were in it, it was fun to be a part of it. But then, long-distance phone service prices began to spiral downward. And when those prices went down, the compensation plan had to be reconstructed. The compensation plan was reconstructed. Many people left the business. They were disillusioned. They were concerned. They were confused. Now, pricing was reestablished at about 20 cents a minute. Well, let me ask you this. How many of you are spending 20 cents a minute for long-distance service? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And so when the prices went down to 6 cents a minute, the compensation plan had to be completely reconstructed again. And when the compensation plan was reconfigured, then what took place? Once again, a lack of belief, and ultimately the company fell into absolute total turmoil and disrepair and failed. What is the lesson? The lesson is that if it's a technology issue, the price will go down. The price of any technology issue always goes down. When the price goes down, the compensation plan has to be reconstructed. When the compensation plan has to be reconstructed, the distributor force is decimated. You know, sometimes the lessons seem so hard to learn. I have a friend named Alex. Alex launched a company. He was involved in XL telecommunication. He launched a company. He called me, tried to get me involved with it. Said, Randy, we're going to sell music downloads, and we're going to do it through network marketing or multi-level marketing. I said, Alex, don't do it. Don't do it, because the price of those downloads will only go down. It will not go up. And when it goes down, you're not going to be able to fund the compensation plan. You'll have to reconfigure. And I said, because there is no usage, there's not enough usage on the back end, you're going to have to be receiving income on the front end from your internet portal, and you're going to come to grief. See, there are no new mistakes in network marketing. There are new people making old mistakes and old people making old mistakes, and sure enough, that sadly came to be. Well, what are the lessons? The lessons are that in order for us to confidently enter the arena with the anticipation of long-term success, it must be predicated, the business model itself must be predicated on the consumption of a physical, tangible, consumable item. This is what the industry has shown. If there is a product which has the capacity to change the way that a person looks, change the way they feel about themselves, or in a meaningful, a measurable, not simply anecdotal way improve their health, then there is a fundamental value that will survive a challenge. And here's what I have learned. I have learned that the price of health-related products and the price of appearance-related products is always pushed up by the conventional business enterprise. Ask yourself this question, if you happen to be a woman and you're reviewing this. When did you last see Marcella Borghese, Estée Lauder, Clinique lower their prices? Never. Personal appearance product prices go up. That's why companies like Nu Skin, skincare products, Sunrider, personal care products, that's why they're able to have stable compensation plans, because there is an outside the network marketing industry support for those pricing models. When did you ever see the price of healthcare go down? Ever? Did you ever see the price of healthcare go down? No. That's why companies in the nutritional supplement industry, in preventive healthcare, in natural healthcare, in supplementation, that's why those compensation plans can be stable, because there's not a downward price pressure. Well, I guess my message here is that there is a long past. There's a history. We can learn from it. We can then look at that history. We can apply the entire history to Monavie. And we can then also take into consideration Monavie's experience during its first 4 years, and we can arrive at a considered, well-thought-out conclusion that there is something special here. Let's learn a lesson from NSA, National Safety Associates, remarkable company. One of those companies that entered the industry in the 1980s, has impacted the industry in a significant way. NSA taught us this very important lesson. They taught that the product must be consumable. Let me ask you this question. How many water filters did you buy last month? Well, probably none, but if you did buy one last month, how many more would you want to buy this month? The answer clearly and obviously is none. Let me ask you another question. Did you buy a bottle of juice last month? Any kind of juice? Did you drink it? Is it all gone? Would it make sense then to buy another one because the first one's gone? That's the way that our business model works. If the first one's all gone, then it's logical and natural and it seems appropriate to buy another. It's not about the compensation plan, it's because the first one is all gone. The more highly consumable a product, the more perfect it is for the network marketing industry. Well, we can look at this history of network marketing and we can contemplate the evolution in a few ways. We can contemplate the fact that there is now a playing field, and we know specifically and exactly what the rules are. We can look at this evolution in light of the fact that the industry has existed since 1903 and has existed in earnest since 1959. We can look at the evolution of the industry in the respect that there have now been a host of companies that have existed for 20 years and beyond. See, the industry is no longer in question. That's what I want you to understand. 20 years ago, when I got involved, the industry itself was, to a degree, still in question. There were only a couple of companies that had existed for 10 or 15 years. Very few. Today, the industry itself is not in question. I don't believe that that's really public knowledge. I don't think people generally understand that. But the industry itself is not in question. Companies like Amway, Shaklee, Herbalife, Melaleuca, Nu Skin, NSA, there are so many that have been around now since the early 80s that have done and continue to do hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars in annual revenue. the industry is simply no longer in question. The next thing we can identify is the fact that there have been multiple instances now of companies having a series of seasons of growth. There are not just flashpoints in time when a company has a fad period where it grows dramatically. A well-constructed, well-managed company that has the elements truly in place for success, these have shown an ability to have multiple S-curves. That's very important to me because I have a long-term one. This for me, by the way, in case you haven't asked me because you can't talk to me, but this for me is the culminating point of my career. I feel that I've worked my entire life to be prepared for this moment with Monavie. Here I find the absolute finest combination of factors that has ever existed, the best iteration of a network marketing company that has as yet been devised. And it's an extraordinary privilege for me to be associated with the company in this role. Well, we can look then at this evolution another way. We can look at the evolution and identify that it has been absolutely shown that companies that have technology-driven businesses will have thus far at least come to grief because the price of technology goes down, and when the price of technology goes down, the compensation plan has to be reconfigured. We can identify the fact that those companies that have had the greatest long-term success have been those where there has been external conventional business price pressure to the upside, thus allowing for compensation plan stability. We can identify the fact that the industry has now been embraced globally, where when I first got involved in the industry, it was almost exclusively a USA-based business. And we can learn further. We can learn even more from this evolution in network marketing because we can contemplate compensation plan design. When the industry was born, the industry allowed simply a buying and selling of product, direct selling, that then metamorphosis took place, and the industry then became a multi-level marketing industry, first with a 2-level payout, and then 3, and then with new skin it became 6. Compensation has itself evolved in dramatic fashion, with a realization that leadership is scarce. There's not enough leadership to go around. And the continued effort of the industry, of the best and brightest minds in the industry, has been to find ways to connect true leadership together. That's the fundamental task, is to connect true leadership together. I believe that the Monavie compensation plan is the best combination thus far. There are intricacies in the Monavie compensation plan that make that combination of outcomes more readily available than what I think is generally available in the industry. Well, as I've stated so many times, I am an advocate for the entire network marketing industry. And I am absolutely convinced that within the industry there are a host of good companies. And I am convinced that there are so many people whose lives can be blessed by finding homes in a variety of companies in the industry. But I do believe that there is a standalone, single, unique, very best place. And I think that standalone, unique, very best place is Monavie. Why? Because Monavie meets the test of the evolution. Meets the test of the evolution in the following ways. The product is not just a great product for consumption. The product is a perfect product for our industry. Why? Because so many people, such a large preponderance of people enjoy it. My simple invitation to you is consume a bottle. Just drink a bottle. And after you drink the first bottle, if you don't want a second, for heaven's sakes, don't do our business. But after you drink the first bottle, if you want the second, you just proved our business. That's the first reason the Monavie product passes the test of this evolution of network marketing. It's because so many people enjoy it. Second is because it is so highly, highly consumable. It is so easy to understand. I don't have to teach anybody how to drink juice. Everyone seems to understand it. The evolution of the industry has further shown that the more complicated the product, the less likelihood there is of success. If one needs to explain all the reasons that the product is great, you know what? It's a hard business. If one needs to convince one to consume it because the consuming experience itself is not positive, it's a very hard business. But if when you have your first glass of juice, you want the second, boy, that went a long ways. I believe that Monavie passes this test when one studies the evolution from a product standpoint. And in fact, my belief of that is evidenced by the success that has already occurred. You know, what has already happened shows that. It's not, it takes no brilliance to see that Monavie has passed that test from a product standpoint. The second place where Monavie measures up well against this evolution of the industry is in management. They're trying to marry True entrepreneurship with professional management is extraordinarily difficult. And I will tell you that Dallin Larson, Randy Larson, and Henry Marsh have done an absolutely brilliant job in the assembly of this group of professionals who operate and manage Monavie domestically and globally. They have done an absolutely beautiful job of marrying entrepreneurship and professionalism. If one looks at the history of this industry, one can identify with clarity the fact that Monavie now finds itself poised to begin a second explosive S-curve. I believe that there is an air of inevitability about Monavie. What the company has done domestically has caused people literally all over the world to say, what about Monavie? What about Monavie? What about Monavie? Literally all over the world, people are clamoring for this company. As we speak, literally today as we speak, as the industry has gone through an evolution, Monavie is going through an evolution. It will become a stunningly successful multinational network marketing company. The only component that is yet missing is local leadership. Therein lies your opportunity and mine to find, to create, to become that leadership. I believe that the Monavie compensation plan fully harvests the value of all of the knowledge that has been gained over the last 50-plus years in this industry. I believe it fully harvests the value, takes full use, takes the full measure of currently available technology, and more correctly provokes activity and behavior and distributes income than that which is available elsewhere. I guess you can see where I stand. I believe that the industry of network marketing is absolutely a thing of beauty, and I believe that your life can be blessed by being in it. I think that your decision to get involved in Monavie would be a beautiful decision. It would be a correct decision, and I so strongly personally encourage you to make that decision. Now let's go back and contemplate what gets us here. I get here as a continuing evolution of my own career. I'm hoping so much that you're ready for your own career to evolve just a little bit. Perhaps it needs to evolve a lot. This is a magic moment if you choose to make it so for you. And then what gets you here at the very outset? Well, either you're involved in step 5. Step 5 being what? Step 5 being to build belief in the network marketing industry. I want you to know that I believe, in my heart of hearts, from the center of my being, that the fundamental principles which govern network marketing are superior to those principles which govern conventional business. I further believe that Monavie is the absolute finest iteration of those principles. If you are here to build your own belief, I congratulate you, I commend you, and I look forward to our association. I look forward to being with you in person as opposed to simply on this DVD. And if you are one who was in the audience when the presenter said, is there someone here who is insecure about this industry? I hope so much that I've been able to address some concern that you may have felt. I hope so much that any identifiable concern you had has been overcome. And I hope that maybe some unquantifiable concerns have been addressed. The fundamental principles which govern network marketing are superior to those which govern conventional business. And I feel so fortunate and so blessed to have become a part of the industry 20 years ago. I feel so fortunate and so blessed to have become a part of Monavie in 2008. And I feel so fortunate and so blessed to have been asked to take on this new role of International Distributor Ambassador in 2009. And I hope that that combination of factors brings us into association. I wish you the very, very best.